The Hidden Valley, the Rise of Petra. In the heart of the Jordanian desert, between deep canyons and sandstone cliffs bathed in the amber glow of the setting sun, lies an ancient secret. A place that, for centuries, remained hidden from the world's gaze, protected by sheer cliffs and narrow paths that wind through the rocks like veins of a silent, enduring force of nature. This place is Petra, the hidden city, a jewel carved into stone, bearing witness to the rise of a civilization unlike any other, its mysteries echoing through time. To understand Petra, we must travel back through time, into the prehistoric deserts that cradle it. Long before any colonizer or merchant arrived, nomadic tribes roamed these lands, resilient survivors intimately familiar with every curve of the Wadi Musa and every shadow cast by the towering cliffs. Archaeological evidence suggests that the first communities in the region date back to the Neolithic period, more than 9,000 years ago. They hunted, gathered, and gradually began domesticating animals and cultivating small plots of grain, harnessing the rare desert rains and hidden springs trickling through the rocks. The natural landscape of Petra is both treacherous and sublime. Red, orange, and pink rocks, sculpted by wind and water over millennia, form deep gorges and natural caves. These formations were not just obstacles, they were fortresses, canvases, and inspirations. In the silent desert, each stone seemed to tell a story. And it was within this environment that humanity faced its first great challenge, surviving and thriving in a place that, as breathtaking as it was, demanded ingenuity and resilience. The first people to transform Petra into a strategic hub were the Nabataeans, an Arab tribe who, around the 4th century BCE, began migrating and settling in the region. The Nabataeans were not merely survivors, they were masters of trade and diplomacy. They understood the strategic value of the narrow gorge leading into the city, the Sik, a twisting, slender passage that would become Petra's main entrance. By controlling this route, they controlled the flow of goods across the Arabian Peninsula, linking India, Arabia, Egypt, and the Mediterranean. The city began to flourish. By the 3rd century BCE, the Nabataeans were transforming natural caves into residences, temples, and tombs, using ingenious rock-carving techniques. Carving into soft sandstone required precision, patience, and an artistic vision. Every facade was both functional and symbolic. Their architecture reflected influences from neighboring cultures, Greek, Roman, and Egyptian, yet retained a distinct identity, a harmony between human design and nature itself. The iconic Al-Khazna, the treasury, stands as the epitome of this artistry, a monumental facade hewn from rock that seems to emerge from the mountain, glowing golden at sunrise as if imbued with magic. The Nabataeans' ingenuity extended beyond architecture. In a landscape where water was scarce, they engineered advanced hydraulic systems, channeling and storing rainfall in cisterns, reservoirs, and underground aqueducts. This technology allowed Petra to thrive in the desert, sustaining a population that may have numbered between 20,000 and 30,000 at its height, a remarkable achievement for such an arid environment. Nabataean culture blended commerce with spirituality. Temples, altars, and tombs were spaces of devotion but also displays of wealth and power. Inscriptions on the rocks reveal veneration of ancient Arab deities alongside acknowledgement of foreign pantheons arriving with merchants and travelers. This cultural openness made Petra a hub not only of trade but of ideas and traditions, a place where caravans from distant lands converged. Even with its prosperity, Petra's geography provided unparalleled protection. The Sik and surrounding cliffs functioned as natural fortifications, making surprise attacks nearly impossible. This combination of strategic acumen, shrewd commerce, and engineering brilliance allowed Petra to flourish for centuries, even as other cities in the region faced sudden decline due to warfare, drought, or population shifts. By the end of this early period, Petra was more than a hidden city. It was a testament to human ingenuity, adaptation, and the creation of beauty in adversity. Every carved stone, every cistern, every altar was a silent witness to the vision of the Nabataeans and their ability to turn a barren valley into a vibrant civilization. Yet, as with all epic tales, the early glory of Petra also foreshadowed the challenges ahead: emerging empires, shifting trade routes, and transformations that would shape the city's destiny. The Age of Trade and Conquest. As the Nabataeans solidified their presence in the hidden valley of Petra, the city began to pulse with the lifeblood of commerce. The desert, once a barrier, became a crossroads. Caravans laden with spices, incense, precious metals, and textiles traveled thousands of miles from Arabia, India, and beyond, threading their way through treacherous sands and rocky passes to reach Petra's concealed heart. It was here that wealth, culture, and ambition converged, forging a civilization whose influence would ripple far beyond its sandstone walls. Petra's prosperity rested on its control of trade routes. These were not mere paths across the desert, they were arteries through which civilizations communicated. The Nabataeans were shrewd merchants, negotiating with travelers, taxing caravans, and leveraging their geographic advantage. Markets in Petra overflowed with goods that reflected distant lands: frankincense from southern Arabia, myrrh from the Horn of Africa, textiles from India, and glassware from the Mediterranean. Walking through the city during its peak, one might have heard the chatter of multiple languages blending into the hum of trade, while the scent of spices and smoke drifted through narrow rock-carved streets. Petra's urban planning mirrored its commercial brilliance. Streets were carved with precision, terraces and plazas offered space for bustling markets, and monumental tombs lined the cliffs, displaying the power and prestige of influential families. The Nabataeans were deeply aware of the symbolism of architecture. Each facade, each sculpted pillar, and each temple entrance broadcasted wealth, authority, and reverence for the divine. Al-Deir, the monastery, a massive temple carved high into the mountainside, was not just a spiritual sanctuary but also a statement visible from miles away, a beacon of Nabataean mastery over stone and space. Yet Petra's importance extended beyond commerce. The city became a nexus of cultural and political diplomacy. Nabataean rulers navigated a complex web of neighboring powers: the Ptolemies of Egypt, the Seleucids of Syria, and later the expanding Roman Empire. They maintained a delicate balance, allying with some empires, trading with others, and defending their sovereignty against those who sought to exploit the city's wealth. It was a dance of strategy and cunning, in which Petra's geography played a crucial role. The city's hidden position, accessible only through the narrow Siq, made it defensible even against superior armies, while allowing the Nabataeans to control who entered and exited and under what terms. The Nabataeans were not mere merchants and diplomats, they were skilled engineers. In addition to their hydraulic systems, they developed advanced techniques for storing grain, reinforcing buildings, and constructing monumental tombs that blended artistry with practicality. These tombs, with their elaborate facades and chambers carved deep into the cliffs, were both resting places for the dead and symbols of social status. Every carving and inscription tells a story of ambition, devotion, and the intersection of commerce and faith, reflecting a society that prized both worldly success and spiritual continuity. Petra's rise coincided with a period of regional transformation. By the 1st century BCE, Rome had become a dominant power in the eastern Mediterranean. The Nabataeans, ever pragmatic, maintained cordial relations with the Romans, facilitating trade while preserving autonomy. However, this delicate balance would not last forever. Rome's interest in Petra was inevitable. A city so wealthy and strategically placed could not remain beyond the empire's gaze. In 106 CE, under Emperor Trajan, Petra was formally annexed into the Roman Empire, marking the beginning of a new chapter. The city would retain much of its Nabataean character, but Roman influence introduced new administrative systems, architectural motifs, and cultural integration, transforming Petra from an independent kingdom into a provincial jewel of the empire. Despite Roman rule, Petra remained a thriving urban center. Temples, theaters, colonnaded streets, and aqueducts reflected the fusion of Nabataean ingenuity and Roman engineering. Festivals and religious ceremonies continued, blending local traditions with imperial practices. Caravans still traveled through the desert, bringing goods and news from distant lands, ensuring that Petra remained a vibrant hub of trade and culture. Yet, beneath the surface of prosperity, the seeds of future decline were quietly planted. Changes in trade routes, shifts in political power, and environmental challenges would gradually challenge the city's supremacy. Petra during the age of trade and conquest stands as a testament to human ambition, the ability to transform a hidden desert valley into a crossroads of the ancient world. The city was not merely a place of commerce, it was a stage upon which power, diplomacy, faith, and art converged, each element reinforcing the other. As the Nabataeans and Romans shaped Petra, the city became more than stone and water systems. It became a symbol of resilience, vision, and the relentless pursuit of greatness. The Golden Age and cultural flourishing. With Roman rule firmly established, Petra entered an era often regarded as its Golden Age. Far from losing its Nabataean identity, the city absorbed new influences, transforming into a cosmopolitan hub where the ancient traditions of the desert met the grandeur of the Mediterranean world. Streets that once echoed with the calls of traders now resonated with the rhythms of cultural exchange, philosophical debates, religious ceremonies, and artistic innovation. Petra's urban landscape reached unprecedented sophistication. The Romans introduced theaters, amphitheaters, and monumental colonnades, yet these structures were seamlessly integrated with the Nabataean carvings that adorned the cliffs. The fusion of styles was not merely aesthetic, it symbolized the city's adaptability, a society capable of honoring its past while embracing new ideas. Imagine walking along the colonnaded streets, merchants calling out in Greek, Latin, and Aramaic, the scent of incense mingling with freshly baked bread, camels and pack animals navigating the narrow streets, and artisans chiseling stone in workshops tucked between monumental tombs. The city was alive, a living testament to human creativity thriving amidst the desert. Petra became a center for religious and cultural life. Temples dedicated to both Nabataean deities and Roman gods dotted the cliffs, while shrines hidden in the mountains offered spaces for private worship. Festivals blended traditions. Music and dance accompanied rituals, while public ceremonies demonstrated civic unity and reverence for both the divine and the ruling authorities. The religious syncretism reflected Petra's role as a bridge between worlds. Here, a Nabataean merchant might pray to Dushara, the principal deity of the Nabataeans, while honoring the Roman emperor in the same breath, a delicate balance of devotion and diplomacy. Education and intellectual life also flourished. Petra's elite families invested in learning, attracting scholars, scribes, and architects from across the region. Scrolls and inscriptions preserved knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering, much of it applied directly to the city's infrastructure. Water management systems, intricate aqueducts, and subterranean cisterns were constantly maintained and improved, ensuring Petra could support its growing population and the influx of travelers and traders who relied on the city as a safe haven in the harsh desert. Art and craftsmanship reached remarkable heights. Tombs, palaces, and monuments were not just practical structures, they were canvases for storytelling. Reliefs depicted scenes of caravans crossing deserts, deities in majestic poses, and intricate geometric patterns reflecting Nabataean, Hellenistic, and Roman influences. Jewelry, pottery, and coins found in archaeological sites reveal a population deeply engaged with both local and global cultures. Petra was not merely a city of stone and sand, it was a tapestry woven with the skills, ambitions, and creativity of its people. Despite its splendor, Petra's prosperity was fragile, intimately tied to the flow of trade. The city thrived because it controlled critical caravan routes, but when political and economic shifts diverted commerce, the impact was immediate. The rise of sea trade routes reduced the importance of overland desert paths, and neighboring empires altered alliances and trade agreements. Even as Petra stood as a symbol of human ingenuity and resilience, the winds of change began to stir. The city's rock-hewn monuments and colonnaded streets were eternal, yet the bustling markets that once animated them were vulnerable to forces beyond the Nabataeans' or Romans' control. In this era, we also see the human stories behind the stone. Merchants who built fortunes, priests who carved their devotion into cliffs, and families whose tombs reflected generations of wealth and prestige all contributed to Petra's legacy. The city's genius lay not just in its architecture or engineering, but in its ability to harmonize human life with the unforgiving desert. The residents learned to harness scarcity into strength, isolation into security, and cultural diversity into sophistication. Petra was not merely surviving, it was thriving, a beacon of civilization in a landscape that demanded ingenuity at every turn. The Golden Age reminds us that Petra was more than a hidden city, it was a symbol of human ambition, creativity, and adaptability. But beneath the brilliance of temples and theaters, beneath the thriving commerce and the carved facades, subtle changes were occurring. Trade routes shifted, political powers evolved, and the natural environment imposed new challenges. Petra's greatest triumphs were intertwined with vulnerabilities that would eventually test the resilience of this extraordinary civilization. As the city reached its peak, it unknowingly approached the turning point that would transform its destiny. Challenges and decline. Even the most magnificent civilizations face trials, and Petra was no exception. After centuries of prosperity, the city that had thrived on trade, ingenuity, and cultural synthesis began to encounter forces that would slowly erode its prominence. The very elements that had nurtured Petra also posed threats: shifting trade routes, political upheavals, and the unforgiving desert itself. The Golden Age, as brilliant as it was, could not last forever. One of the earliest and most significant challenges came from economic shifts. By the 3rd century CE, maritime trade routes in the Red Sea and the Mediterranean became increasingly dominant. Goods that once traveled by caravan across deserts now moved by ship, faster and more efficiently. Petra, whose lifeblood depended on the overland trade networks, began to feel the strain. Caravan traffic dwindled, and with it, the wealth that sustained grand constructions, elaborate tombs, and lavish festivals. Merchants who had once flocked to Petra now sought coastal cities, leaving the hidden city more isolated. Political turbulence compounded the economic challenges. The Roman Empire, which had annexed Petra centuries earlier, began to fragment under internal pressures and external threats. Shifts in regional power altered alliances and exposed Petra to new vulnerabilities. Neighboring tribes and emerging empires occasionally tested the city's defenses, though the natural fortifications of cliffs and the narrow Sick continued to provide formidable protection. Still, maintaining autonomy became increasingly difficult as the region evolved. Petra's rulers and administrators struggled to navigate a complex political landscape, balancing diplomacy, defense, and dwindling resources. Natural disasters also played a pivotal role in Petra's decline. The city was built on sandstone, which, while ideal for carving monumental facades, was highly susceptible to erosion. Flash floods, common in the Wadi Musa during seasonal rains, periodically ravaged streets, homes, and water channels. Despite sophisticated Nabataean hydraulic engineering, these floods could overwhelm the city's infrastructure, damaging cisterns, reservoirs, and aqueducts. Over time, repeated natural catastrophes compounded the city's economic and political difficulties, making reconstruction and maintenance increasingly burdensome. Cultural and demographic changes further challenged Petra's vitality. As trade diminished and political pressures grew, many families of the elite and merchant class relocated, seeking security and opportunity elsewhere. With fewer inhabitants, the city's social and civic institutions weakened. Temples, once vibrant centers of worship and ceremony, fell into partial disuse. Markets, which had been filled with the rich aromas and colors of distant lands, became quieter, echoing with memories of past activity rather than the hum of commerce. Petra, once a living city of exchange and innovation, began to feel the weight of abandonment. Despite these pressures, Petra remained a place of resilience and adaptation. Its inhabitants clung to tradition, maintaining religious practices and sustaining what remained of commerce within the city and the surrounding valleys. Nabataean ingenuity persisted in repairing hydraulic systems and reinforcing key structures. But the broader forces of history, the rise of new empires, changing trade networks, and the relentless forces of nature, were beyond any individual or community's control. Petra's decline was not abrupt, it was gradual, a slow fading of a city that had once shone as a jewel in the desert. By the Byzantine period, Petra's population had dwindled significantly. Christian communities introduced new religious structures, repurposing existing Nabataean and Roman buildings for worship. Frescoes, crosses, and small chapels dotted the cliffs, reflecting a continuity of human presence but marking a profound cultural shift. The city that had once been a hub for commerce and diplomacy had transformed into a quieter settlement, its monumental tombs standing as silent witnesses to past grandeur. The decline of Petra illustrates a universal truth. Even the most brilliant human achievements are vulnerable to time, nature, and the currents of history. Its stone facades, once vibrant and bustling with life, remained to tell the story of a civilization that had mastered the desert, harnessed trade, and fused cultural influences into a lasting legacy. The challenges and decline of Petra did not erase its significance. They amplified it, creating a hauntingly beautiful reminder of human ambition, ingenuity, and impermanence. Rediscovery and legacy. For centuries, Petra lay in quiet solitude, its grand facades and monumental tombs hidden deep within the cliffs of Wadi Musa. The city that had once hummed with trade, ceremony, and life gradually slipped from memory, known only to local Bedouin tribes who traversed the valleys and deserts, passing down whispers of a rose-red city half as old as time. Petra's monumental scale and intricate carvings were preserved not by empires or scholars, but by the isolation that had once protected it from invasion. The world outside had largely forgotten Petra. Travelers and historians spoke of distant lands and exotic peoples, yet few ventured into the treacherous canyon entrances. The Sick remained a secret corridor, its narrow twists and towering cliffs hiding the city from casual discovery. Petra's remoteness, once a strategic advantage for the Nabataeans, now became a time capsule, preserving centuries of artistry, engineering, and cultural memory in near-pristine condition. Petra's rediscovery in the modern era was dramatic and cinematic, befitting the grandeur of the city itself. In 1812, Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt, traveling in disguise as a Muslim pilgrim, became one of the first Westerners to glimpse its hidden treasures. He described the city's facades and tombs with awe, capturing the imagination of the world and igniting interest in archaeology, history, and the ancient civilizations of the Near East. Burckhardt's journals revealed not just a city of stone, but a testament to human ingenuity, a civilization that had mastered trade, architecture, and survival in one of the harshest landscapes on Earth. Archaeologists and historians who followed unraveled Petra's complex story. They uncovered the sophistication of Nabataean water management systems, the artistry of rock-carved tombs, the fusion of cultural and religious traditions, and the city's pivotal role in connecting empires across continents. Excavations revealed inscriptions in multiple languages, coins from distant lands, and artifacts that traced the ebb and flow of commerce over centuries. Petra became recognized not only as an architectural marvel but as a living chronicle of human adaptation, ambition, and resilience. The legacy of Petra extends far beyond archaeology. Its monumental facades, carved directly into the sandstone cliffs, continue to inspire awe and imagination. Filmmakers, writers, and travelers have drawn inspiration from its hidden corridors and monumental treasures. Modern visitors experience the same dramatic revelation that Burckhardt must have felt, emerging from the narrow Sikh into the sunlit grandeur of Al-Khazna, feeling the weight of history and the beauty of human creativity etched into every stone. Petra's endurance also speaks to the balance between humanity and nature. The Nabataeans' ingenious water systems, the city's strategic location, and the integration of architecture into the landscape demonstrate a profound understanding of environmental limits. Petra teaches lessons about sustainability, resilience, and the creative ways human beings can thrive in even the most challenging conditions. Today, Petra is recognized as one of the most important archaeological and cultural sites in the world. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, it stands as a symbol of human achievement across centuries, a reminder that even hidden cities, lost to time and desert sands, can leave an indelible mark on the collective imagination. Its story is one of rise, prosperity, challenge, decline, and rediscovery, an epic narrative that bridges millennia and cultures, capturing the essence of civilization itself. As the sun sets over the rose-red cliffs of Petra, shadows lengthen across its facades and tombs, revealing the timeless grandeur of a city that was hidden, yet never forgotten. The story of Petra is not merely about stone and sand. It is about human vision, endurance, and the eternal desire to leave a mark upon the world. Its silent corridors whisper tales of ambition, ingenuity, and the unyielding spirit of those who carved life into rock, ensuring that the hidden city remains forever alive in memory, imagination, and history.